Hello and welcome back to the 12th Man Podcast. Delighted to bring you another episode. And we're going to be talking a lot about the weekend's football, including ones for Liverpool and Spurs. We'll also look back at that game between Man United and Chelsea, and we'll look ahead.
No, do we have to? It was awful.
Well, it was terrible, but plenty of stuff to come out of that game, so definitely going to have to visit it. But Owen, how are you? Liverpool back at the top of the table. And Mo Salah had a big hand in it.
Aye, he always does. We need to, and then he put out I don't know if he's seen his tweet yesterday, but I don't know what they read into that. But while he's here and performing, he's giving the club no option. They give him a 2-3 year deal, in my opinion, because that goal he scored was like I was watching it on a dodgy stream, like, so I was a bit behind. But when I seen all you boys in the chat going, "Oh my God, Salah!" I was like, "Right, what happened there?" And then when I seen it, I just was like, it's, the man's just he's the best. He's the best winger to ever play in the Premier League. I don't care what anyone says."
Definitely in that Terry Henry bracket. I know he played as a forward as well. Times are off the left, but definitely in that bracket. And he's become so reliable for Liverpool, so consistent. And that goal he scored, we've seen it 1,000 times at Liverpool, because obviously not 1,000 times, but we've seen it well over 100 times. That trademark finish when it comes in off the right and bends it onto that top corner.
That's what the commentator said in the stream I was watching. The commentator said the defenders know what he's going to do, but you just can't stop it.
I never knew you understood Andean commentators.
No, there was English. I find a way.
You find a English commentator. Owen, it was a difficult first half for Liverpool. Brighton were on the front foot. They were probably creating more opportunities against anyone that Liverpool have played this season. Would you say? That was the most pressure they were put under in a 45-minute spell, and it was difficult for Liverpool. But you have to give Brighton credit as well. They're a really strong team, but it seemed to be that Liverpool were quite content to give them time on the ball. And then when they did go and press them, they were cut open. So they were quite disjointed in that first half. Liverpool, they weren't sure where they sit or where they go. And it was a difficult first half. What was your thoughts on it?
I think you summed it up pretty well. You said difficult. I would say completely shocking. We couldn't string two passes together. I think Trent had one of his worst games that I've seen, and it wasn't just him. I think everyone was off it in the first half. Bar Kelleher, because he made a big save from, I think it was Welbeck. Was it Welbeck or Rutter?
Yeah.
It was one.
Welbeck, no, I think it might have been Rutter, actually.
It was one of them anyway. And God knows at that point, if it goes 2-0, it's probably game over. Like, so you have to think of the keeper for that. But Slot said himself he could have changed the whole 11 if he could have at half time. But whatever he said to them at half time, we came out with more. It was the lack of fight and aggression we were showing that concerned me. And Slot said himself, apparently did him at half time, that he didn't want to see a repeat of Nottingham Forest in the second half, and thankfully we didn't, and thankfully we got the one in the end.
Yeah, you said it was a very different Liverpool in the second half, and football can often be a game of two halves. We've seen it a lot this season, teams going down 1-0 and coming back in the second half, and it obviously happened in the game we're going to talk about next as well. But he says Slot could have changed 11 players, and you're right, everybody was off it, maybe bar the goalkeeper. Van Dijk was looking shaky at times, and he's been solid. So it looked like they were struggling all over the pitch. Slot didn't change anything in terms of numbers at halftime. He kept the same 11 on. But
Kanate had a call.
Sorry, Kanate come off injured, but in terms of tactical changes, he didn't change it tactically. But do you think I know I'd love to be in that dressing room, because I've been quite, I wouldn't say critical, but I've been quite strong, and I believe Liverpool have to play on the front foot more, and they have to be the aggressors, not sort of a sponge soaking it up and then hitting on the counter-attack or waiting for moments. They're a good enough team, and we've seen them, their Klopp, they're very strong when they go at teams, and that's what they did in the second half. And to be honest, Brighton couldn't cope, so it begs the question that have Liverpool got away with it in recent weeks with these kind of maybe conservative tactics? Because Brighton were under serious pressure. I mean, Liverpool could have took a game away from them in that 30-minute spell.
I don't know if we've been fortunate. We've been fortunate in some games, but I think if you look at it at Twitch, we didn't play well, but they didn't put us under any pressure really. Same with Brentford, same with United really. So I think it's a bit harsh to say we've got away with it. But I think the Wolves game was one that we got away with. Brighton could have, as we said, could have scored a second in the first half, and the Arsenal game too. If they took our chances, it could have been different. But that's football. If you don't take if you don't take your chances, you're going to get punished. And Liverpool will lose games again this season. Like, we're not going to go and win every game now between now and May. Like, we will have spells where we're not these things aren't happening. We won't come back. And for about 60 odd minutes in that game on Saturday, I was thinking, like I said to you, I think we're beat here just based off the first half performance. It wasn't great. So, but I do agree with you. It seemed to say to them in the second half, just go out and take the game to them, and we did, and we ended up winning. So I know we'll speak about it later on. Maybe I know we have a big game tomorrow, so it'll be very interesting to see how he sets up against Leverkusen tomorrow.
Just quickly on that, how do you see them setting up against Leverkusen? Because they're a team that likes to keep the ball and like they play. So can you see them coming to Anfield a bit like the Chelsea game and dominating the ball more than Liverpool?
Well, Brighton dominated the ball. Never mind Chelsea, but I think that's Slot's philosophy. He doesn't mind teams having the ball as long as we're good out of possession. And nine
I
times out
mean,
of ten,
sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say 9 times out of 10 this season, we've been alright. But like I think we've only conceded 6 goals in the league, which
Yeah.
is which is the best.
I have to say one. I didn't hear it too often under Klopp. Maybe you can tell me differently. But there seemed to be a lot of moaning and groaning in that first half at Liverpool, and there was a few boos at half time. And that's despite the team having some great results this season. Do you think a lot of Liverpool fans are still scratching their heads around this style of play? Do you think there is some, like a neutral fan like myself, questioning that why are we not going on the front foot more, especially when you see the result in the second half that they were so good? They've got a squad there that's one of the best in the league. And for years they were playing on the front foot under Klopp, so it's very difficult to change that. And it almost was like a throwback to Klopp in that second half, the way they pressed from the front and they went after Liverpool or they went after Brighton. So do you think them moans and groans were understandable, or do you think that they had to be a bit more patient?
I can see both sides of it. I can see both sides of it. I think I'm not going to lie. At half time, I was very frustrated. I was even shouting at the TV, boo them off at half time because then when you're not playing well, you don't like booing your own players, but when you're not playing well, they need to be heard. Like the fact they need to be shown that that's not acceptable. And we forget, like, yes, we have a new manager, but I honestly think this league's there to be this league this season is there to be won because arguably all 3 teams that are up there at the minute haven't played their best football, and we're taking advantage of it at the minute. And I wanted to stay that way, obviously. And I would argue you do over Arsenal. So I think it'll be interesting to see, does he be more conservative against Leverkusen, or will he spare on that second half performance against Brighton and go right play match from the first whistle now? So I'll be very interested to see how tomorrow goes.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. A lot of talk today on TalkSport, on the Sky Sports media about who are the favourites for the title. People saying that Man City and Arsenal look a bit vulnerable. Simon Jordan's still not convinced about Liverpool, but Gary Neville's not convinced. But some are saying that they are the new favourites. How do you see it now?
Nah, Man City are still favourites for me. Like Liverpool are sitting top eye, and just as we're on Gary Neville. See, I'm not even joking. See for the past few weeks, he's been banned for Liverpool to lose more than usual. I don't.
What do you think that is?
I don't know what. Obviously, he doesn't like Liverpool, but he seems to have a loving for us.
Because he got the jitters about Liverpool.
Probably, because remember at the start of the season, he said Man United have a better midfield than Liverpool.
Yeah, he does make some bold claims, doesn't he?
How's that?
Do you think he's losing some Do you think is he losing some of his credibility?
And because I don't know if you heard it, but in the Arsenal game when Saka scored it, it was more than celebrating. Like, and I know
Yeah, he
Saka's,
doesn't
I
seem
know
to
he's
react.
I know he's.
He
Don't
doesn't
get me
seem to
wrong,
react
Carragher probably.
when the goals, Liverpool score the goals, but when they're getting scored against him, he does seem to elevate his voice.
And I actually think Carragher's more neutral at times when it comes to Neville. Like Carragher rips on the Liverpool too at times.
Yeah, but he
But
likes to rip on the Man United as well, doesn't he?
I think, to be fair, I think everyone does at the minute. But no,
We'll come on to talk about United actually. For anyone watching, we will be coming to the United game.
I still
Sorry, go ahead.
see I still see Man City as favourites. But at the start of the season, I said they were clear favourites. But now I think any of the three teams could win it.
What do you think Liverpool's chances are on a percentage basis? You know, are you the start of the season? You made us is maybe 10. Are you at 50 yet, or are you still below it?
I would say I'm at 50 now. Yeah,
50-50, I think.
like what? Like I've seen no
I
evidence.
think I think they've got a great chance based on what I've seen from the other teams. I think
That's what I was going to say.
if them other teams got themselves together, Man City and Arsenal, I'm referring to, I still think
Yeah.
Liverpool are probably the third best team in
Yeah.
terms of all round. But look, at the minute it's working.
I think if Arsenal lose to Chelsea on Sunday, I think they're out of it already.
I think that's a huge game at the weekend, and we'll come on to talk about Arsenal very soon. Fully agree, Danny. Since it's Liverpool to lose this season, new manager, not City, don't look the same. And Arsenal are in the top four. I think Arsenal are definitely in the top four if they fail to beat Chelsea and results go against them next week. I think that Man City result, some Arsenal fans are looking at it going, well, we're only 5 behind. Or we're only 5 behind, but they're actually 7 behind Liverpool.
That's all I've heard. That's all I've heard all day. Oh, but we're 5 behind Man City. We're 5 behind. I'm going. But they're not top.
If you go on next week and you're 9 or 10 points behind the team at the top, it's a big gap to overturn. Not that they say Liverpool will not lose 3 games, but that puts real pressure on Arsenal. They won every game, and
I think our next 3 games, I think, are Villa at the weekend, and I'm discounting the Champions League ones, but I'm just talking about league. I think we have Villa at the weekend, and then we have Southampton after the international break away, and then the big one against Man City at home. Which
that could be huge. That could be a huge game for Man City too. But look, before we wrap up,
I'm quietly confident. I'm quietly confident going in that Man City game because it's at home.
Yeah, and just to wrap up on Liverpool one, we heard a lot of rumours that the third international break was going to be the key for news on contracts. Are you expecting some news in the next 2 weeks?
There has to be. If there's no news by the time we kick off against Southampton or that week leading up to, then I'm starting to think, right, all 3 of them could be away here.
Technically, because as you say, when the football returns on the 23rd of November at us, you've only really got, 36 days before they can negotiate a pre-contract on January the 1st, so you really are running out of time.
If you're asking me, I'm confident on Van Dijk. They are too. I was more confident on Trent at the start, but I'm not so confident now on him.
Hi, Dan. Good to have you on. Dan's a Spurs fan, and Dan, we're going to be speaking about Spurs now, so you've joined Dan at the right time.
Sorry for your troubles, Dan.
And I was on attendance yesterday, as you know, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where Spurs thrashed Aston Villa with a stunning second half performance. They won 4-1. Spurs have been criticised this season at times by certain elements of the media, even by their own fans at times. Ange has come under fire at times. And the Spursy tag, I think, has returned more so than ever before because of that Brighton game. And then the Palace game last week was just typical Spurs letting a team that haven't won a game beat them. And then they go and beat Man City in the Cup and followed up by thrashing a top 4 rival and a Champions League club.
You could just predict it. And then
Spurs me and you were in the predictions and we were both kind of leaning towards a draw in this game. Were you surprised that Spurs were so comfortable in the end?
In the end, though, but when I started watching it, like I just thought from the start that Villa weren't at themselves. Handbrake Hotspur.
Go ahead, sorry.
Villa weren't at themselves from the start. Like they weren't going after Spurs because don't forget Spurs were missing Van de Ven too, so I saw that as a big advantage for Villa. But I know Villa took the lead, but that was their only shot on target, I think, in the whole game or the whole second half or something like that.
Yeah, they only had one shot on target. The
But
only other chance I can remember is the Watkins one that they put wide. That was wide up.
mm, to be fair, he should have scored that. And then if he scores that, then it's a completely different game. But as I said about Liverpool, it's about taking your chances, and that's something that we're very critical with Spurs at times. But you can't say that about them
Before
yesterday.
we come on to talk more about Spurs, we surprised at the Aston Villa tactics. They finished above Spurs last year in the Champions League. They've won their last 2 games at the Spurs Stadium before yesterday. I know
Yep.
Spurs beat them 4-0 back in March. But that was a very similar game. Villa were kind of happy to sit back and soak up the pressure, and Spurs broke them down. And it was a bit like this game. Once they broke them down the floodgates opened. That's the second time now in a row Spurs have had Villa for 4 goals. And,
I
it
think
has
in the
worked.
last two, I think
It has worked in all games against Bayern Munich, for example, this season with Villa. But do you think are they too negative?
they can be.
The amount
seems-
of time wasting was ridiculous. Even at 0-0 and 1-1, they were playing for a point. They were taking their time. They were lying down injured, and there was 10 minutes added on at the end of the match. And Villa had actually stopped time wasting from the 75th minute when they were broke down for the second time. So, in that 30-minute period, they wasted up to 10 minutes.
Martinez is always at that though. If you watch Villa, he's always taking along over his goal kicks. I said Spurs. Spurs 3-1
for a hat trick. He says, but as you say, sorry, we're caught up there. Go ahead.
Villa are always at that time wasting tactics, and unfortunately, I'll have to suffer it at the weekend. So hopefully, we can put a few past them before they start that crack.
Well, I mean, I don't think Slot's got any excuse to not to go on the front foot, because when Spurs went on the front foot against them, they tore them to pieces. So, I mean, there's no real excuse, because Villa are going to come to Anfield. They'll view Anfield as a harder game, so they're going to go there and do the same. They're going to time waste and try and play for a draw.
And we have to win, because we're at home. You have to win your home games. I don't care who you're playing, like Man City, Spurs, anyone. Like, you have to try go out and win your home games. And to be fair, we have a very good record against Villa at Anfield. And then I think the only time Villa have beat us in the last while is that mad game during COVID when they slapped us 7-2.
That's right. And coming back to Spurs, that's the 4th time this year Spurs have beat a team by 3 or more goals in the Premier League. So funny enough, they've only won 5 games out of 10, but they've won 4 of them by 3 goals. No teams doing that consistently like Spurs are. So when Spurs are at their best, though, do you think teams are really struggling? They cope with the amount of attacking phases of play they're putting on, the quick turnovers, and they were forcing Villa into so many mistakes because of the high press, and Villa couldn't get out in that period. Yes, Spurs dominated the ball in the first half, but they didn't play as quick. Once they up the tempo, that 30-minute period up until the second goal, or even the third goal, a few minutes there, Villa were camped in their own sort of final third. They couldn't get out.
Because even at halftime, I think you text me to say Spurs were very flat. I'm watching them. I don't know what it was like in the stadium, but watching on the TV, the stadium felt quiet in the first half. It didn't feel like its usual, because that's a loud stadium when Spurs get going. As you know, you've been there.
It was loud in the second half, I think. But the team has to energize the crowd, and they did that with the starting up. He'd sensed that the goals were coming once they got that first one. I really fancied us to go 1-1, not 4-1, but I fancied us to go 1-1 in the game. And I have to say, the second half is as good as an atmosphere as I've been there in all my games there. I thought it was absolutely rocking.
He's ripped them to shreds in the second half, but it just shows all the time wasting goes to nothing. Like, Martinez was lying down, holding his leg, and taking ages over free kicks or goal kicks, and in the end, they end up getting battered 4-1. So is it really worth all that time wasting when you don't get anything for it? But Emery's done this a few times. He's a good manager, but he seems to, in these big games, he seems to revert back to the way he was at Arsenal. So
I don't think that's a good sign for it. Like, Villa are supposed to be ahead of Spurs in their process. They got into the Champions League last year. They've actually signed players that maybe Spurs fans would have liked. I think Spurs fans would have loved an Onana type of player. They would have loved
at the start of the season, we were both saying we didn't see it with Onana, but he's been one of the best signings this season.
It was good in the first half yesterday, but I think Spurs really took over in that second. I thought Sarr was outstanding in that second half.
I would probably say the best midfielder in the league, if you can call him a midfielder, has probably been Kulusevski in that sense.
Yeah, he was excellent yesterday. What about the quality of the Spurs goals? I mean, that's what the fans want to see them, especially those second and third goals. They were really well worked.
I didn't see the equalizer because I turned it on. I turned it on 5 minutes because I was watching like the analysis, and then I turned it off for a while. Turned it back on, and Johnson was celebrating. So it was. But the Solanke goal for 2-1 was just that pass from Kulusevski was something. If De Bruyne did that, people would be talking about it for months.
Solanke got a lot of praise from Postecoglou. He says, regardless, even if he's not scoring goals, he is unbelievable for us, and he does not stop running. He completed the second highest number of sprints yesterday in that game for the Premier League this year.
This is what annoys me. But Nunes does the same thing, but he gets pelted.
Yeah, but when Solanke was on yesterday, he didn't miss today.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like even with our first goal from against Brighton, I actually thought Nunes scored it, but he left it for Gakpo. But no, he's
if he had a touch today, it probably wouldn't have done.
Yeah, he probably would have been offside. But no, it was Solanke. Well, that's his first 2 goals in 6, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah. I don't want to get carried away, Owen, but Alan Pardew compared Spurs yesterday on Talk Sport to Barcelona. He says, when Spurs are at their best, it reminds me of Barcelona. What do you think? Is that too much?
Well, let me guess. Was it on Talksport?
Talksport.
Nah, of course it was. Like that's mental. He's playing good football, but they compare Spurs to a team who had Messi and Eto'o and Ronaldinho. I'm not even. No.
Maybe he means this. Maybe he means this first in Barcelona. I'm not sure. I didn't elaborate on that. But one thing I've noticed though this year, as yes, they're still conceding goals at times, and give away a soft goal. They give away a soft goal yesterday.
You need to work on them corners, right? Because these are useless when it comes
to be honest, I think it's more down to the goalkeeper. There's nothing they can do there. If he's not going to be stronger, then they're going to have to get another goalkeeper. But he is a very good shot stopper, and he's quite good at reading the game and playing out from the back. It's just that one area that's letting them down at the moment. And teams have sensed on. I mean, what actually happened yesterday was they're now pushing the Spurs players onto him.
Yeah, because I thought when I went down, I thought it looked from my angle on the TV, it sort of looked like there was a foul, but there wasn't. When you seen it, it was actually.
It just has to be stronger. But as I was sitting there, when Spurs definitely look like a controlling games a bit better. Like Villa only had the one shot on target yesterday. I don't think Spurs is ever going to be a defensive team under Postecoglou. But I think one way to help the defense, I mean, he suggested this already, is we have to get better at dominating and controlling teams. And in that 30-minute period, they couldn't get out, so Spurs were comfortable. And this was without Van de Ven yesterday. You know, they actually had Dragusin and Davis at the back in the second half at one point, you know, for the rest of the game. And Villa never really got on behind them because the midfield was doing its job and the pressing from the front was there. And that is the only way Spurs is going to get better defensively, as being better and attacking and keeping things on there. Defending from the front, as I would say.
I like the way he played Kulusevski instead of Maddison, because that's a big call. But it seems to me from the outside that he thinks that they can't play together because they're not defensive players. I know they track back, but Kulusevski and Maddison, they're not going to give you a lot of defensive output. And if you play them two in the one game, it's like you're overloading Sarr, Bentancur, or Bissouma, whoever plays on there. So I think on merit, I know Maddison came on and banged a free kick, which was a great free kick. I don't think he's been at his best this season, and I think Kulusevski's been one of the best players in the league.
Yeah, Kulusevski's been consistent, and I thought Sarr yesterday in that second half was so impressive. And that's the thing for Sarr, and it's like a lot of the players in this team is getting that consistency, and we'll speak about that in a minute. But when you mentioned there, the big call, we leave Maddison out, and he took Son off just after that equaliser, and Son, you could see it was a bit guys.
He wasn't happy, was he?
But Big Ange was thinking of the future games, because the last time he played against West Ham, he played the whole game, and then he was just back from injury, and they had him miss the next 3 or 4. So
yeah.
Does that show a lot of trust in the players, you know, that he's prepared to even take off the best, the captain, and say, look, I'm going to trust Richarlison, Solanke, and Johnson. You go and win this game for us. And he did that. And I think that's a big thing for the squad. That I think we spoke about it over the years, that Spurs have always relied on a Harry Kane or a Son. They drag him through, even a Gareth Bale, a Berbatov. He's on Monday Night Football night. This Spurs team now are a team of, you know, they're together as a team. They're not relying on one individual. As you say, Van de Ven was missing yesterday as well.
Yeah, and like even though you have star players, you have to don't. Yeah, it's a squad game too. Like there's going to be days where Kulusevski's not firing or Solanke's not firing, or and to be fair, I think Son he hasn't been the same player for 18 months, in my opinion. I think he's definitely he's not a Salah type for me. He's whereas I think Salah's maintained his level, he's going down. So he's only to address that. But he definitely seems to have a lot more trust in the squad now because, as you say, leaving Maddison out, it's a big call and taking Son off. Wait, what? I think there was over half an hour to go, wasn't there? At that point,
37 months ago, I think.
it was over half an hour. So, and he didn't look happy when he came off, but in the long run, it worked out because Richarlison set up the goal. I know he injured himself. Of course, he
I
did.
could see people in that south stand. They were all scratching their head when someone was getting took
Mm.
off, and I think that's one that had to go right for him because he would have been criticised that Spurs not going to win that game.
That's the thing as a manager, but like he's getting lauded for taking him off, but it could have easily went the other way. So
Well, I wouldn't say he lauded, but I think it's good that he trusts. And Richarlison, I thought, come
mm,
on, done well. He made an impact, and he
he
looks
got
like
him.
he's picked up an injury as well, so he's just can't stay fit.
He's
Um,
he's an R one too. You need to ship him off as much as he's a decent impact player, but there's no point if he can't be on the pitch. It's like Chiesa so far for us has played 15 minutes.
but we knew that was going to happen with him.
Well, he's not. I don't think he's injured, so to speak. Chiesa, I think it's just because he
I
didn't
tell
have
you,
a,
there's reasons things are half priced in the supermarket. They're about to go out of date, and that's why Chiesa
he
was
didn't.
available for such a short fee.
I don't think he's injured. I think it's just because he hasn't had a preseason, so Slot doesn't want to rush him into things. But Richarlison's the same. He can't stay fit. Werner can't stay fit. Son can't really stay fit anymore.
Yeah.
So
And
it isn't.
yesterday,
It isn't.
Romero's picked up a knock now from that idiotic tackle he made, and
I,
then Van de
he's
Ven's. At the
he's
minute, Spurs are
lucky.
struggling.
Aye, Romero's lucky too. That tackle wasn't a bit higher because he could have been. It was what was he doing? Like it was in a
I
nothing.
honestly think if he had got sent off there, he could have blamed nobody but himself because it was a
Uh,
stupid attack. He's never going to get the ball, out of control, reckless.
must be
Just
some.
probably not in the dangerous category. It was just reckless.
Must be some of them Argentinian centre backs because we've seen one. We've seen one in the Man United game. Which
That was a rake down the leg. I thought that should have been off. But final thoughts on Spurs, Owen. I mean, if they can turn these performances and the more frequent, consistent results, have they a great chance of being that top four this season, or possibly even lifting some sort of silverware?
I've said throughout the season, for this season, Spurs need to get into the Champions League and try and win a trophy. And the only trophies they're realistically going to win are the League Cup, which I hope they don't because we're still on it. But the League Cup and the Europa League and maybe in the FA Cup. But they're not going to win the league. But they have a big chance of winning that Europa League because there's nobody in it apart from United, and you don't know what they're going to do under Amram. And
Well,
who else is in the Europa League?
you have a few other
I know
teams on it, but
there's
you've mentioned them, Owen. Man United. We're going to speak about them when we do the weekend review here. Drew
yeah.
yesterday won with Chelsea. It wasn't a great game. I was watching it in the pub. But you know what? I tell you what, there was maybe obviously because Spurs won, but I think more people were more interested in the music that was playing because the match wasn't that great itself. So I think that tells you everything. But Roy Keane labelled them average. He says they're way off it, and he doesn't mean in terms of winning leagues. He says just even competing for the top four. He says if you look at every stat, it's average, and I can't think of one thing Man United can do that's above average. Scathing
He's,
comments, but is he right?
he's right there. Like you seen the gist today. Like, and even I'm going to throw Chelsea in here. I thought, and we both predicted Man United they won, but I thought Chelsea would have came out at them a bit more. Chelsea seemed to be happy with the draw, but it's a United
Well, I
team.
said to you, Chelsea have yet to go to one of these big grounds under this new ownership and beat all in the Spurs one when they were in the 9 men.
Yeah.
They haven't went away to a team and done it. And I think that's now in the what we're saying about Spurs and their mentality. I think this Chelsea team is totally different to the old Chelsea mentality. This is a team when they go away to the big places, they can't get results, and that's why I factored on that United
I
could
was
beat them.
also I was also going to bring up that's twice now I've watched Cole Palmer in big games and he's done nothing. So is he
But
going
it
to
was the same. Like, Chelsea had that much time and space to play. I was surprised in the end that they didn't win it, but they were
yeah.
very poor in their decision making and their quality. And I mean, they could have lost it at the end.
It wasn't a great advert for Super Sunday, was it? It was more like a one game average Sunday. But no, it was for any neutrals like myself watching that. I could have spent my time better on a Sunday. But no, both teams were very poor. And as you say, Chelsea had the freedom of the pitch at times, but they just didn't take advantage. And I'm so confused what Maresca's doing. He has people like João Felix on the bench and Kunku, and he's bringing on people like Mudrick. That boy can't, like, this is coming from me, but that boy can't kick a ball. Like,
Yeah.
I think I'd have a better chance of getting a few goals and assists than that boy at the minute.
Um,
He's just short. He's just short on everything. Like.
Gary Neville says he's not sure what Man United are anymore. I think that's the biggest criticism that you can have is with. I think Roy Keane says when you go to when we come here now for Sky for Old Trafford, we don't know what we're going to get. And he says the odd day
I've said
there'll be an odd
you,
hit, but it's more must than hit, and they've become this mid-table average. He says, "What advice would you give Ruben Amorim?" And he says, "Sign a longer contract because this is going to take years to be fixed." Did it show yesterday? Even we've on the story on, it looked very much like still Ten Hag was there, and the ghost of Ten Hag was there because the space on the pitch at times for Chelsea to exploit, and a better quality team it would have been the same as the Liverpool and Spurs. They'd have been wrapped up in 3 or 4.
That's what I think. It was a pundit. I can't remember who, but I think it was Ian Wright said if they were playing Spurs or Liverpool or Man City yesterday, they would have got ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
And what you have to remember too, Van Nistelrooy, he's been there. He's been there the whole time. Ten Hag's been there this season, so it's still sort of Ten Hag because he still has the same ideas as Ten Hag. He was Ten Hag's coach, but actually, I don't know if you've seen it. I seen on Sky today that the players want them to stay as like a connector, and you're like, what is this? It's not preschool. Like
there was no connection yesterday in the team. They were wide open and no togetherness. I think Roy Keane says he says for whatever you care about a manager, he says you have to have some sort of it's on your DNA going to the pitch, and even if you don't like the manager or you don't agree, you still want to try and play your bit. He said there's too many bluffers at Man United, and
Gary Neville said, as much as I don't agree with him, I do agree with him on this. He said it's as if they haven't trained together before. It's as if they've never met each other before.
I mean, that's a big decision for Amorim. Does he keep Van Nistelrooy there, or does he get rid of him? But as you say, I would want to clear out the rest of the old stuff and really start from scratch because they are so far behind. It's got to the point where they were a team that was competing for top 4, but now it would be hard for me to see them finishing above. Obviously, the top 3 there we have. You'd imagine we City, Liverpool, and Arsenal in whatever order. But even over a Villa, a Spurs, a Chelsea, and even a Newcastle, I just can't see them finishing above any of them teams.
So you think they can finish between like 10th and?
But they're
15th?
all better teams. They are all better teams than United.
Yeah.
Even maybe not but I think even Roy Keane is individually. I think a lot of these players are better. We think they're better than what they are. He says they wouldn't get into anybody else's team.
No, I was talking about this yesterday. I was watching Man United, and a few of my Man United friends that I chatted, I said them, none of Lemons will get on the Spurs' team, Liverpool's team, Arsenal's team, Man City's team. Very, very, very few of them.
It shows you how far behind they are. You look at Newcastle. Yes, they're not. They're sometimes they aren't great to watch, but they're very well organized. Like we'll speak about when they beat Arsenal. Yeah. There's no holes in there. Their midfield's very strong and physical with Joelinton, Guimaraes, and Longstaff. Is it? Yeah, Longstaff.
As well. They've
got quality in the attack with Gordon and Isak and Barnes. I can't think of too many Man United fans that would probably say we're better than any of those teams individually or collectively. So I think United are looking at if they were to finish in a European place, it would be a great season from here.
Yeah, I mean they still have the Europa League. Like if they won that, they're in the Champions League. So I think they might throw their eggs. Can't be too harsh on United. I think
there's a gap left on it, but I mean it was just because they weren't exploited. But Chelsea had the freedom of the perk at times, and we've seen it with Liverpool and in the Spurs games where they were punished. And I just think unless they get that sort of the first thing Amorim has to do is make them. And look, I think he does like to play good football, Amorim, and these teams are good to watch. But I think the first thing he has to do, and I know I've got to say slot for this, but Liverpool are at a different stage than Man United. I think he needs to go back to basics and make them tough to beat, and then bring his own style of play in because the gaps and how wide open they are, they're not going to win many football matches in this league.
I Gary Neville said too yesterday. If Amram goes and plays his 3-4-3, he doesn't think he has the players for it, and they'll still go.
Well, that's it. You need two good wing backs, right? For they play in a they
As you
play
say,
that.
I thought Mazraoui had a good game yesterday. I thought he was very good.
But if you go with Mazraoui and you go with Dallo as your wing backs, like
Yeah.
you're relying on them for creativity, and you also I think need to have if you're playing with two in midfield, where most teams have three in there, you need two really good midfielders, and I don't think Fernandes is disciplined enough to do it, so they have to go with Ugarte and Casemiro or
Mainly,
one of
maybe.
those. Mainly, like are those two good enough to dominate games of football for Man United? I'm not sure.
Not for me. No. So, it's sort of for Amram. It's not like a lose situation because he's coming on and they're at the bottom of the barrel. Like, so for him,
Roy Keane says it doesn't matter how good a coach he is with these players. We've seen it time and time again. They'll let you down, so he needs to find some money to get new players on. And he says United have spent a fortune, and with FFP, I don't think they're in a great place. So if he's got to work with that, he's gonna. If he turns that team around, he will have been some coach because this team has really struggled under our managers. Not all of them, because of course some of them are new, but the players that have been there a few years have struggled under every manager they've had.
Yep, and Amram said in his press conference I seen today, he says if I come on and if I win against Man City, I'll be the new Alex Ferguson. But if I lose against Man City, I'll be the next flop or something. But he's
got not a handy enough start, but I think his big one, the first big one, is that Man City one, is it?
Arsenal.
Oh, he's Arsenal before that, is he? When do they play Man City? When do they play Man City? It must be coming up too.
No idea. We play Man City in the 1st of December, but I don't know if it's the week after that they play them.
You're right. They play Arsenal in a midweek game, and then 10 days later they play Man City. Because I remember now with TV games, I think we're on afterwards. Southampton, the 7:00 game.
Because that week leading up to Liverpool Man City, we have Real Madrid as well.
I think his first couple of games are a bit more winnable, but then he's got Arsenal and Man City coming up, so it's a baptism of fire for him, really.
I think his first league game is Ipswich, so they should want. If he loses to Ipswich in his first game, then I'd sack him already because they look. And Nick, he'll be happy this weekend
because they got their first big one. He says it's going to be a big problem shipping out all them players they have, especially on the wages. And I totally agree. Nobody will want to leave. We've seen that way how hard it was to get rid of Sancho. They had to eventually accept a loan with an option to buy or obligation to buy. So it's getting them off the big wages.
When Pogba was there, he sat there until his contract ran out. He was like,
but I'm looking at the players they have, like Xerxes. I don't think most teams will be interested in signing him.
He doesn't suit the Premier League. Like, did you see yesterday
Anthony's going to be hard to shift because he's going to take him. So there's so many ones there.
I wouldn't take Anthony at Derry.
Owen, let's come on to talk about last year's top two because it was defeats for Arsenal and Man City. We'll start with Arsenal because they lost the early kickoff to Newcastle. It could be a draw.
Fair play to you, but you said you didn't see Man City winning this game, and they didn't.
I said you couldn't see Man City or Arsenal both won. I tapped them both for draws. But to be honest, I was leaning towards home ones. And the games went exactly how I expected them to be tight, and for them to not have enough. Because Arsenal have been struggling for weeks. I think.
This result's been coming, I think.
What?
This result's been coming because I think
bar that 45 minutes against Liverpool, I think every hour game this year it could have went the other way. Or than maybe the Leicester one where even though they were even the Southampton game, Nick will probably tell you that Southampton had great chances against them and they were 1-0 up and they could have got an equaliser towards the end. I think one of the centre backs had the crossbar.
And I think it was Bednarek or something at the crossbar.
Anyway, Owen, I have to say we were critical of Newcastle as well, but Newcastle have definitely got themselves together, and they look more of a team that we've known to be accustomed over the last couple of years. They were very strong, resilient, and Arsenal really had no answer.
For the first 10-15 minutes, that's the only time that I thought Arsenal controlled the game for the first 10-15 minutes or so. But after that, Newcastle. No, don't get me wrong. Neither team really created that much in the entire game, but I think once Newcastle got their foothold on the game, and I have to say that that cross from Anthony Gordon was was one of the best crosses.
Sumptuous and a great header from Isak. And did that show Arsenal what they're missing? An Isak type of player in the box they score, because when Newcastle decided to kind of sit back a bit in the second half towards the end, Arsenal had loads of possession, but they had no real threat. Or maybe when Saka got on it, and they know
it was like Havertz was playing striker, but he was playing midfield at the same time.
On the right, quite the right a lot there.
It was a weird setup, and a lot of Arsenal fans are questioning Arteta. And you know what? See if Arteta doesn't want it. Like if results don't go their way this weekend, they could be sitting going on the international break 8 or 9.
Well, I mean, they have a tough game on Wednesday. I think it's Inter Milan away, and then they play Chelsea away. So it's a tough week for them.
Their sporting director's just left today, so it's not.
He's accepted a job with the Forest owner.
God love him. He must be paying him well, because
he must be getting way well paid. But he's because he loves Arsenal and he's an Arsenal boy. But he's left. And he's signed for them today as well. So Arsenal.
Do you think that's a big blow for Arteta, or do you think?
The word from Arsenal is they view it as a big blow because they believe their recruitment's been right over the last couple of years. I think the one area they're missing, as we spoke about it, they needed a striker last year and they needed one this year and they haven't got it. I think, to be honest, sorry?
Look at the players they bought, though. The only one I can think of has been a real hit has been Declan Rice and Odegaard. And you can argue Havertz, but then you have people like Fabio Vieira and all that.
I think the biggest issue for them at the moment as well is Martinelli's really tailed off. That promising young player now has last season it was poor at times, and a lot of Arsenal fans. Sorry,
Sterling can get a kick as well, so that makes
Sterling can get a kick. But I think Arsenal now need to upgrade that left wing as well. I don't think Martinelli should be good. I don't think Martinelli's good enough anymore to be that starting left winger for a team that's going for a Premier League. I think Ord and Saka now in that front three. Yes, Havertz is crucial at times, and he does good work. But I think an Isak in there and an Anthony Gordon, for example, you put those two players on that Arsenal team, they've got a different threat altogether. And Odegaard, yes, as a huge loss one, but a lot of Arsenal fans are pinning it on Odegaard. Now, surely, as a squad like Arsenal cannot be relying on one player. We spoke about Spurs having injuries yesterday, and Arsenal are further ahead in their process than Spurs, and Spurs managed to cope okay with them.
And you've seen at times last season too. Liverpool were decimated with injuries at times, and we coped all right. I know we tailed off near the end, but I know they're missing Odegaard massively, but one maybe should have kept Smith Rowe. See, it's all hindsight, but they should have went out. I don't think Michael Merino's that good. I know he played well against us, but he doesn't strike me as that creative player that they need. For me, I think they should have went out either, as Nick said, kept Smith Rowe or brought someone in. You're not going to get the quality of Odegaard, but someone who can, for example, like look at Spurs. They can bring on Maddison if Kulusevski's not playing well.
Yeah.
Arsenal are relying on a 17-year-old.
Yeah, a lot of them think he should be starting, but we've seen with Mikey Moore and Crystal Palace, just because they're technical, because they're promising. I still agree with Arteta. I don't think, because even when he brought that young lad on, it looked difficult for him. It's Newcastle away. They're a big physical team. I thought Ange was wrong to put Mikey Moore into the Palace away game. I think he should have kept him for a home Premier League debut in the Premier League somewhere. A start one where he starts. He was on the bench. He didn't get on yesterday because of injuries. Spurs obviously lost a couple of the injuries yesterday.
Newcastle away is tough. Like the only team Newcastle haven't beat at home on their house, Liverpool, which shows you.
Shows you, it's difficult to go there. But next time maybe they could have kept Smith Rowe. You say hindsight's a wonderful thing.
I think Smith Rowe for himself needed to go and play football, and he's flourishing at Fulham. Like I'm actually like the night's game, Brentford and Fulham. It's one of them games. Like it doesn't matter either side of the table, but it's one of them games like I'm interested to watch because they're two.
They watch.
They're two front foot teams, and
you're probably guaranteed a goal in the first minute with Brentford. So should get
I tell you what, though, there's a few players in that Brentford. Well, there's one player in that Brentford team in particular that I wouldn't mind seeing at Liverpool down the line.
And just to finish off on Arsenal. And I'm sure we'll get chatting to Stefan in the next couple of weeks. When
he's done. Oh, he'll be back when they've won a game.
We're still waiting on comment from him actually about Saturday's defeat, but we'll get it to you when we get it. But just on Arteta, we spoke about him a lot on this podcast. He's nowhere to go now, really. He can't have any more excuses. I mean, this has to, if they don't win a trophy this year, if they aren't competing, they won the Premier League. I think Simon Jordan says you're getting under the regression territory then. Could it be the case that he has taken them as far as he can? Because he seems to have really changed now. It's this defensive, pragmatic coach that's, I think, almost feared to lose, has taken away from the football influence that they had. He's a very good, young, promising coach. But I think now there's a real doubt amongst the fan base that he is the man that's going to get him over the line.
You seen when he first came in. Sorry, maybe not when he first came in, but that first full season, maybe when they first challenged for the league, they were ripping teams to shreds. Like I don't know why he's changed from that. But as you say, maybe it's because he's afraid to lose games. But that's a risk you have to take. You're going to lose games in football. But Carragher said a few weeks ago he seems to have a bit of Jose Mourinho about him. I don't know if speaking of him, I don't know if he's seen his celebrations yesterday after Fenerbahce.
Eight minutes with VAR as well, but character. I love Jose, the character, not so much at my football club, but I wouldn't mind seeing him back somewhere else.
But he's going to end up at West Ham. I'm telling you, if they sack Lopetegui,
wouldn't surprise me if he has back. Like I'll be shocked if he doesn't come back because there will be offers there. I think coming in this next international break now, it's going to be a graveyard for some managers. Like. And we'll speak about that now because Forest.
Do you think it'll be worse for Arteta if, say, Slot goes and wins the league in his first season?
100%. He would have nowhere to go because if Slot can do it in one season, then Arsenal have had so many years to do it. Owen, Nottingham Forest
that's without not spending any money too.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest are the surprise package this season. They find themselves in third. Are the glory days coming back to Nottingham Forest? And here, were Spurs too quick to sack Nuno?
No, I think you seen it. Nuno struggled in Saudi Arabia for God's sake, but he's at his level, isn't he? Like you seen it with Wolves, he got them playing. He got them playing the way he wanted, and he got Forest playing the way he wanted. Forest are a club that I have a soft spot for Forest. Like I like him. I like him as a club.
Chris Wood is absolutely flying too.
Nah, I think he's what 7 goals now. 8 goals.
He's the best player outperforming XG in the league.
I've seen that.
So
hey, he's got them flying. They're on a Champions League place. Well, where they finished there, I highly doubt it. But there's no reason why they can't push for Europe of some sort if it keeps up like this.
Yeah, because they're well organised. They're hard to beat. And Nuno was very good at that with Wolves, didn't he? He got them on the Europe, didn't he? We Wolves and caught teams would be surprised when they just come off from a championship.
The only team they concede less goals than them is Liverpool. Like, so that shows you they're hard to beat. And they came to Anfield and they done a job.
They remind me of Nuno's Wolves team. They were very difficult for the big teams as well. The Wolves had so many big results against the big teams when Nuno was there.
If you think of Nuno too. At Wolves, look at the players he has. He has Adama there for Wolves, and he has Callum Hudson-Odoi for Forest. I know they're different type of players, but they're players that can cause you a threat. And then I actually really like Alanga for Nottingham Forest. I think he's been really good. And as you say, Chris Woods, I don't know what he's been eating, but he's been really impressive since Nuno took over there. I think I saw something today where when Nuno took over, they were 13th in the league, and the third, so it's going well for Nottingham Forest. But then when you look on the other side of it for West Ham, it's just it's not a happy place there at the moment.
West Ham, I'm not sure who they're playing.
Well, they could get dragged in their relegation battle.
Well, this is, I think we spoke about it there. It's going to be this international break is going to be the last opportunity for teams to make a change where there's no football for a couple of weeks. So
checking to see who West Ham are playing. I have a feeling it's a low down team. Everton.
That's Everton. That's a huge game for them. If they lose to Everton, I think that could be it for them.
To be fair, I watched a bit of that. Well, I've seen a bit of the highlights of that. Nick will be able to tell me more. But I watched the highlights back of that Everton Southampton game, and Everton were awful.
Yeah, we'll speak about them, but I think that's going to be a huge game for West Ham and Lopetegui. And as you say, Mourinho could be back in the Premier League for Christmas.
I think both managers going into that game are under pressure because a lot of the Everton fans, yes, they're up until they lost to Southampton, they were five unbeaten, I think. But I think a lot of the Everton fans are getting fed up with Sean Dyche's football, and you've seen some of the players too.
Michael Keane goes up
They
front.
just like what's that about? And Dominic Calvert-Lewin looks like he's lost. Well, then again, that boy's probably too busy trying on handbags or whatever he does. He did.
Southampton, knack, stop the count. They've won a game, but I tell you what, I was delighted from when I seen the goal came lit, and then I checked my phone again, and it was 1-1 because but then there was a VAR check, and I was just typical Southampton. They needed that VAR call to go their way because just totally unreliable Southampton. Like even they got that lit goal, and they still managed to nearly throw it away. But delighted off the mark, first one. And Owen, to be fair to them, they've probably deserved it. They've been unlucky in our games.
Aye, they should have beat Newcastle on the open day. They could have got a point or something against Arsenal. Obviously, I don't worry about lucky to beat. I know, but Everton were poor as well. Who are they playing at the weekend? Does Nick Nack know? I know they're playing Liverpool after.
I think they're playing Wolves. You know, that's going to be a big game too.
That's another big game. And then after the international break, I think. Sorry for Nick Nack, but I think they're playing Liverpool, so I hope their winning run does not continue. But no, it's important to get your.
They might knock you out of the cup.
Hopefully not. I'm hoping for a cup one as well. But no, for a season for a reason there. Now I thought he said Liverpool was a 6 pointer. I was about to go what? But no, it's important for them to get their first one because Russell Martin too. We played Liverpool twice. Hopefully we can win one. To be fair, if he's already won one, I would prefer it to be the League Cup. To be honest, the league's your bread and butter, isn't it? Unless you're a Spurs fan who needs trophies. But no, in terms of Southampton, it's good for them to get off to their first one. But we'll speak about the other team who again similar to Southampton, they just can't buy one. At Switch as well. I don't know what they're doing. But Russell Martin too was under a bit of serious pressure as well. So they remind me about
Burnley. I think he needs a result at Wolves next week too, because I don't think Southampton will give him the patience the company had at Burnley. I don't think that'll happen with Southampton.
I was just about to come on that. I think they remind me a good bit about like Burnley last season, but only with a bit more quality.
And I think as well, we've seen it with Southampton over the years when they've been in the league, they do sack a lot of managers. So I don't think Russell Martin will get as much time. But I suppose Russell Martin maybe in his head is looking at company and thinking he might not be expecting a Bayern Munich job. And company got that because he was a top player as well. I think being a top player helps you. Russell Martin was a championship player, I think, for most of his career.
Played for Norwich a good bit of time as well.
But I think as well, him having that style of play, well, our Premier League teams may look at that and think, you know what, we want our team to play that way.
But if he gets sacked from Southampton, like, could you see him going and getting, I don't know, the Everton job if they sack Sean Dyche?
Well, company gets sacked from Burnley, or he left Burnley after relegating them and goes to Bayern Munich. So I don't think I've ever seen such a jump.
Nick was saying that there's not much between the newly promoted teams, but I still am sticking there. I think Wolves are in trouble.
Yeah, we'll speak about them after we speak about this game, Owen. I thought Ipswich were going to get their first one, but a red card and a lit goal changed that. And I'll tell you what, Leicester, I think they've been arguably the worst team in this league this season, but they still continue to get points here and there. I can't remember one game, Leicester, where they were the better team, and I've watched them. They've been hanging on in most other games, and from what I hear, Ipswich should have finished them off, and they didn't. And that's a big blow for Ipswich, because I'm looking around the league and thinking, I don't think there's a worse team in Leicester, so if you can't beat them, who are you going to beat?
And Kieran McKenna too, he's another one. I don't think they'll sack him because obviously he signed a new contract and they have a lot of faith in him, but they need to get their first one somewhere. And I'm not too sure who they're playing at the weekend, but I know they.
Ipswich.
I know they have.
They're playing a team. They're playing a team that likes to hand teams opportunities. So
that's right. They're playing. Forgot that they're playing Spurs. So
they're coming to the Spurs.
You know what? As much as Spurs were good, I would not be shocked sitting here.
If it had been in Ipswich, you'd have been a bit more. But Spurs at home are notoriously strong under their Ange. They do, and they score a lot of goals.
If it was a Portman Road, I'd be saying, you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if Ipswich nick a point or
it's
something.
The type of game, if Spurs breach them early, they could hit them for 5 or 6. You know.
It's.
I'm not sure Ipswich have the quality to necessarily hurt Spurs. You know, as much as our teams would.
That's the thing, as Nick was saying, there's not much between the bottom three because as bad as Ipswich has been, they're not far off safety. Like,
Well,
Well, at the
that's it. And I'll be
moment,
honest, hey, 20 points could keep you up in this league this year because there's a lot of teams not winning.
at the minute, as it sits now, who's your bottom three? Because I can't call it.
For
I'm
no,
saying Wolves,
we'll
but
do Wolves here first, and then I'll answer that question. Because Wolves are still searching for their
you were
first
saying
one after
you were
Palace. So
saying
I have to say, Wolves were very poor. Palace should have won this game.
they were you were saying it'll take 20 points to survive. How many points do you think it'll take to win it? I don't think it'll be in the 90s this year. I think it'll be like 80,
The
85 or
Davies,
something.
the Davies maybe.
Yeah.
He thinks that.
Wolves were
Knock,
keeping
how
them.
many points do you think you'll need to stay up? I'm going. I think you could possibly survive with something like 25 this year. No,
Do you
you need
think
35. I think you could survive at 25.
do you think we'll get to a point in the last day where all like there's like 5 teams could go down?
You could be in that situation.
Mm.
Palace, and I'll answer your question now. I think even though Wolves were poor, I still think they've got enough to stay up.
Yeah.
But look, they have to get that first one, and unfortunately for Knick-Knack, it has to come next week. I don't see how, as much as I like Gary O'Neill, I don't see if they can't beat Southampton next week at home. I'm on the Ipswich territory. I don't see how they're going to win a game elsewhere because you've been getting handed some opportunities. I know their next run of games after the international break, they ain't playing any of the top teams because they played most of them, if not all of them, already. I think they play Spurs a couple of days after Boxing Day, but other than that, they've got favourable fixtures. But the confidence is that low, and Palace battered them for most of that game. So I think Gary O'Neill will have to win that game next week to be in the dugout for the next game after the break.
I agree. Yeah, you could be saying that about a couple of managers this weekend. So by next Monday,
I think this weekend is going to be a key for a lot of those teams that are struggling because of this third and final international break before the end of the year. So I'll go. I still think Wolves will be okay. I think Palace will be fine. Everton as well, even though they aren't great. I think they've got enough steel and resilience with Sean Dyche. He knows how he's been there and done it. They'll keep him up some way. So it leaves me I says Brentford at the start of the season, but I think Brentford will be okay now. So I'll have to go with a promoted 3.
I'm going. I'm going Wolves, Leicester, and Ipswich.
So he says you could be okay with 30 points, but you have to aim for 40. But that's what I'm saying. You're 10 games on, and there's teams sitting at 2 and 3 points, 4 points. They get to 40 from they need to win 12 of their last 29 games, 12 of their last 19 games. Say rough, something like that. If you get to that point. So
and they're not going to do that.
My maths is all wrong. 12 of the last 27.
But
again, that's a high. Like that's a high number for teams that can't win games. They go on 112. So
I can't see it, but I'm saying Wolves they go down, Ipswich they go down, and Leicester they go down.
Southampton to stay up, Ben. I do think Southampton have improved. They aren't getting thrashed as much as they were at the start of the season, and they definitely are. They're the best that I've seen out of those 3, keeping the ball and creating opportunities. So
best of a bad bunch, as the saying goes.
It'll be interesting to see if Southampton go in the market in the summer, in the market in January. Can they get a striker on? Because I think they need a striker. Definitely need 4 goals.
Not just for Southampton, but do you think the January market will be buzzer, or do you think it'll be a quiet one?
Nah, loans galore. Be loans.
I don't know. I've said this. I can see Liverpool going on for Zubimendi
again. And before we finish, let's look ahead to the midweek European action.
Your Spurs playing
what's that?
Your Spurs playing Molly Malone's FC or something.
We're actually playing Galatasaray away, but we're getting to this is the halfway point in the league phase. Everybody will have played 4 games. This round of fixtures. So let's start on the Tuesday night fixtures. Liverpool take on Bayer Leverkusen and watch it be an absolute classic. Of course, Xabi Alonso was highly tipped for the Liverpool job. They've given it the Arnie slot, and I think Liverpool fans are pretty happy at the moment. Leverkusen, of course, are not the unbeaten team they were last year. They have lost games this year. And we always knew it was going to be some sort of tail off. But
I think they're sitting 4th in the Bundesliga.
Liverpool are seen as heavy favourites for this, but Leverkusen will cause problems, so it should be a good watch.
And you know what? I'm not predicting a 1, but I'm going to go 2-2. I think it'll be a draw.
Sporting
What about
Lisbon
you?
take on Man City. We're going to get our first look at Ruben Amorim. He's taking
The
on
man,
Man City. This will be interesting.
the Manchester Derby, and this will be. You know what? It's hard to predict Man City at the minute because they're who's at home. Sporting. I'll
Um,
go.
Sporting.
I'll go. Man City just about 2-1. How do you think the Leverkusen Liverpool game's going to go?
Fancy Liverpool at home.
Uh,
I really do. I think Liverpool beat them. And Sporting Lisbon. The only reason I would tap Man City for this game is I can't remember Pep ever losing 3 games in a row at Man City, and they will have lost 3 if they lose these 3 because they've lost the Spurs in the cup, they've lost the Bournemouth at the weekend. And we didn't
no,
really discuss Man City, I suppose, but worrying stats there as well. Is Man City they're conceding a lot of chances, and without Rodri, it looks like a huge loss to them.
yeah,
No, even we knew he would be important, but it's left a massive hole in that team. You
yeah.
could argue that he is just as important to any team in the league and player. No, as Salah is for Liverpool, Rodri's after Man City in a different way.
I think they could cope without Haaland more. More they can
Uh,
cope without Rodri. I think Rodri is their most important player. As you say, but like also if we lost Salah, like who do we play? Chiesa, and you don't. You're not banging on him. They stay fit like. But no,
so Man City to won then.
I 2-1 Man City. I'm gonna go.
Final game on Tuesday. I'm going to ask you about Celtic take on RB Leipzig. Celtic got a decent draw against Atalanta the last time, but they did smash Aberdeen in the cup at the weekend. So Celtic at home are a wee bit different to Celtic away in Europe. So I think they'll give Leipzig a game, even though Leipzig have been playing well this season.
And Leipzig give us a game in the last round of the Champions League. I fancy them to beat Celtic here, though. I'm going to go 3-1. The RB Leipzig.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Leipzig as well. I think they'll just have enough too much for them.
I think Leipzig are actually the closest to Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga. Last time I was checked.
Yeah, let's look at Wednesday. Aston Villa take on Club Brugge in the early kickoff. Aston Villa again, they've lost 2 in a row now in the league, and they failed to beat Bournemouth before that. So there's been a dip in form. Yeah. And I have to say, a dip in the level of performance. I was very surprised at them tactics the weekend. You would expect Villa to go more on the front foot here, but we know Europe, it can be difficult. But Villa have been flying in the Champions League. They're top of it at the minute, and if they win this game, that'll be 4 out of 4, and you would imagine that'll definitely be enough to qualify for the next round.
I'm going to go 2-0 Aston Villa here. Club Brugge aren't up to much, I don't think. I think if Liverpool won tomorrow, I'm basically saying the Real Madrid game is sort of a free hit.
Yeah, we want to try and finish this high up, don't you? That's the only thing. But
do you think
it's supposed to give you an easier draw on the ladder. So what's that?
Do you think there'll be any big teams that drop out?
It's designed for them not to. I'll be shocked if there's big hitters dropping out. You know, you only have to finish in the top 24 to get a playoff. Like so, Knack reckon Celtic could do Leipzig. He says you can never roll them out at home. And also on Wednesday, I'm looking forward to this game because I really like Inter Milan. I like watching them when they're in Europe. They take on Arsenal, and we know Arsenal are struggling a wee bit, but I think this is a really tough game for them. I think Arsenal will take a draw now in this game.
So do I, and that's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
I'm going to back Inter. They won that. I'm going to back Inter. They won that.
I was going to say that if any team was the one, I think it will be Inter.
You can't see Inter losing that game.
No.
Let's move on to the big competition on a Thursday, the Europa League. Spurs travel to Galatasaray.
As much as I was glad, like they watch it when Liverpool run it. See when your team's not on it, you don't have to watch it. It's good. It's great.
Yeah, Spurs travel to Galatasaray in the early kickoff at 5:45 on Thursday, and I have to say this is Spurs' first real test in this competition. I think they're going to have to go pretty strong because you couldn't send out a whole pile of young. I know they've a young and inexperienced squad as it is, but I think they need to play most, if not all, their starting 11 in this game to get a result because we know the atmosphere in Turkey, and I think. I'm expecting Spurs to go strong, and I think this will be a great test of character and a great test of mentality because we know English teams struggle in Turkey, but if Spurs were to go out there and win, obviously it's not the same as beating a Liverpool or an Arsenal or a Man City, but I still think it will be some sort of a statement for them to go there and get a win because they're away form. Only 3 wins in 2024 in the league away from home. I know they've won their only away game in Europe so far against Ferencváros, but they struggled out there as well. So you would expect this to be a real struggle for Spurs.
Going away to Turkey too. Excuse me, isn't great for English teams notoriously. I'm going to go for a draw. I'll go 1-1. Davis and Sanchez, they score the a last minute equaliser.
I'll take a draw. I'll take a draw now, to be honest. I
Yeah.
think that's a game we could potentially lose, to be honest. But even if we were to lose it, we've won our first 3 games. It wouldn't be a disaster. But I'd like to see us get the momentum going, and I think a draw would be a decent result.
Who are United playing? Like some under 12s?
I'll come on to United because I've just seen here quarter-6 as well. Olympiacos, last year's Europa Conference League winners, take on Rangers, and Rangers have been struggling for most of the season. I'm not sure how did Rangers do yesterday? Did they win?
They won. They're playing Celtic in the final.
What was the score?
I have no idea. I just know that they won.
Right. So, but of course they've had some bumps this year. Chris Boyd says the other that the manager should go after they lost to Aberdeen.
There's a lot of pressure on what do you call him, Clem Lenglet?
Philip Clement.
They won 2-1 yesterday.
So Olympiacos are notoriously strong at home as well. They beat Aston Villa last year in the Conference League here. So I think this will be a tough one for Rangers because Olympiacos are one of them teams. If you have them at home, you always fancy yourself. But if you have them away, it's always a difficult one.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Olympiacos.
Go for Olympiacos too. Man United take on PAOK, PAOK of Greece.
Martial, is that where Martial's playing now?
I'm not sure, but United really should be beating this crowd.
I'll go 3-0 United, and if they don't win, then Ruben Amorim may wrap up bad contract. No, I'm not coming.
Moving into the Europa Conference League, quarter-6. It's another one where an Irish opposition is taking on like a UK opposition. They're playing. The Shamrock Rovers are playing the New Saints of Wales at home, who have 2 Derry players on their team, of course, Rory Holden and Josh Daniels. TNS won their last game against Astana. Rovers obviously beat Larne. So both of these teams have a decent start. So I think the New Saints have 3 points out of a possible 6, and Rovers have 4 out of a possible 6. So speaking from an Irish point of view, if Shamrock Rovers were to win this game, I think they would be qualified because there's only 6 games. So they would be sitting on 7 points after 3 games. So that would probably be last game.
Yeah, because that could be a dead rubber then by that point. I'll go Shamrock Rovers.
Both of these teams, one here for either team would give them a great chance to get on the next round.
Yeah, I'll go 2-0 Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah, I'll go for Shamrock Rovers as well. Chelsea take on the lowest ranked team in the competition called Football Club Noah. I've never heard of them. I'm not even sure where they're from. But Chelsea, I can say they are. Well, this is like a FA Cup. Like you play a non-league team. Yeah. I mean, this is the difference in standard here. It's a great day for them going to Stamford Bridge. But
what do you call them? Football Club of Noah?
Chelsea don't beat this crowd. What's that?
What do you call them? Football Club of Noah?
FC Noah, NOAH.
I'm trying to figure out where they're from. I'll go 5-0 Chelsea.
Chelsea aren't beating this crowd. If you goals, there'll be some sort of questions asked. I'm trying to see where you're from here. Have you got it on your screen now?
No, I'm trying to get it. I've never heard of them before in my life. FC
Armenia. They're from Armenia.
So we'll go 5-0 Chelsea or something. There'll be a big score anyway.
And just finally, we'll look to see who Larne is playing here. Larne, of course, has been tough for them so far. They've lost both their games. So realistically, if they're going to qualify, they need to start picking up points. Larne are taking on St. Gallen at home. I'm not sure. Are they French? Are they? I
think so.
Switzerland. They're from Switzerland. So that'll be a tough one for Larne because this team are supposed to be half decent.
Yeah. So I'll go. Who did you say they were playing? FC Gallen. I'll go.
This Conference League. I see trying to get some of these names out.
It's I know.
It's making the Europa League. It's making the Europa League look like the Champions League. That's what it's doing.
Like I know it's to give teams a chance, but it's just a point. Like, does anyone really care? Like, see, I'm not even joking. If Liverpool were, I don't even think I'd watch it.
Watch it. Well, Owen, it's been great. It's been great having you on. I'm sure we'll have you on again very soon. If you're new around here, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. We will be back towards the end of the week when we're looking ahead to another weekend of Premier League football. And as we've seen from tonight's podcast, a crucial one going up into the last international break, a lot of managers under pressure and some
I
big
wouldn't be
clashes,
surprised.
especially at the bottom.
I wouldn't be surprised if we're sitting here next Monday night with a few clubs looking for new
Yeah,
managers.
I'm going to see if I can get Stefan on because they are playing Chelsea. So I want to get his verdict ahead of that big game. So
well, he'll be in hiding. Although he'll be in hiding.
I want to thank all the viewers tonight for their comments. Some really good input from you as well. Of course, the show wasn't possible without your comments and your questions as well. So thanks for that. Owen, I'll see you later, sir. Enjoy Monday Night Football tonight, and we'll get a chat soon.
We'll do that. Cheers.